What's up? This is The Floor is Yours podcast. I am Casey Williams, your co host for tonight's show. Just a little bit about me. First and foremost, I am a worshiper. I love Jesus and everything that I do. I am gifted because of that. Outside of that, I do wear a few titles as a wife, a bonus mother, an educator, and a friend. But what I'm here today is to be your person in your living room. Be that person that you were maybe having a hard day and need somebody to talk to, or just need some encouragement. So call me your cousin, call me your kids, auntie, because today the conversation is going to get deep. And I just want you all to be honest, open, and transparent. And the way we protect children is by having these conversations. So thank you for listening today.
Hey, appreciate you, Casey, and welcome to the show. This is your second time. And like I was telling
Yay!
you before, how we say it in our community, if you've been in our house more than 5 minutes, you're no longer a guest,
You're
right?
no longer a guest.
Likewise, if you've been here once, you're no longer a guest. So that's why I call you a co-host. But appreciate you joining,
Hey.
especially on this important topic, right?
Oh, wow.
This is something that just watching the news, like you can't watch the news and not know what's going on in that space. It seems like there's been an uptick, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get into the heavy hitting, out there in the audience, y'all know the name of the show, The Floor is Yours podcast, where we make sure that we get a floor to you, let you voice your concerns, push back if you don't agree, make a comment, ask questions, whatever. But we need you also, if you will. This information is only good if we're reaching the masses. So please share the show, invite people to watch it with you, and interact with us in the comments. We're going to make sure we get to as many comments as we can. So, but if you don't mind, Casey, again, thank you for joining us. But what got you started in this space?
Okay, so I graduated from Indiana University. So if there's any alumni, hey. And I was starting a new career. And so I moved to Texas and I was thinking, okay, work for Child Protective Services. I can protect children. Negative. I was working with adults. And unfortunately, on my caseload, that could range in between about 30, 40 families that I am managing, educating, making sure children are safe. I had a lot of child sexual abuse. And I'm like, what is this?
Really?
I didn't know how prevalent it was. I didn't know what it looked like. Of course, I have heard about it and studied it slightly while I was in college, but I really didn't know. So I was like, God, you placed me here. What do I need to do with it? And it was very clear, like, hey, be part of the prevention, because what will happen is I would get a report and it's explaining the child sexual abuse. I go to the child, build that report, have the conversation, and the precious babies are just out crying. And so then I'm believing it, I'm processing, I'm coping, trying to do everything possible because this just happened.
Yeah.
But then I have to go knock on that door to that parent and say, hello, I'm Child Protective Services. We got a report. And the parents will flat out deny it, lie about it, don't believe the child, always protecting the predator. And I was like, absolutely not. So that's what made me create the nonprofit Young and Vibrant Incorporated. And our mission is to eradicate child sexual abuse.
Yeah. And we're gonna make sure we share all that information. But you mentioned about the voice of the assault victims, right?
Yeah.
And especially the younger they are. Would you agree that it's more imperative or important that they have people looking out for them, right? Because they don't have that voice.
Absolutely. And looking out for them. So for me, because I work with children, I actually study children. So the whole background and the psychology of child development, all that, I took my 4 years of college learning about these things. And so it's also important for a parent to understand their development of a child. Because, for example, when trauma hits, let's say child sexual abuse happened at 4 years old and no one knew about it. No one really processed. There may have been he say, she say, but the child really never got the therapy, never got the help, and probably continued to get abused. So what will happen, what trauma could do is now this child is 13 years old. However, their body weight, their, stature is looking like a 4-year-old. It's looking like somebody is younger, and people may say things, oh, he's just skinny, or she's just skinny, or she's just small. No, these are signs that parents have to pay attention to, because our bodies can go in that stage of, when the abuse happens. So just things like that
Really?
are
Oh,
very
wow.
important, of paying attention to even the nonverbal communication. When kids are always want to wear hoodies and covered up, parents, if you haven't seen your child's arms or legs in a long time, that's a sign to see, hey, let me make sure your arms, no bruises, no marks, just things like that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that you talked about is being a safe space.
Oh, that's
And
so important.
yeah, so when you go out and you did your investigation, it's usually being reactive.
Yeah.
But being a safe space is not only, it shouldn't be only the parents or the immediate
sure.
caretakers' responsibility. So let's talk about that. Like, how do you direct people, communities, organizations to try to be more active in that space? The reason why I asked that, Casey, is because we're such a private society, right? It's not like when we were growing up where, you depended on the community, Now it's like, don't say anything to my child, and if you do, it's the worst.
It's a problem.
But how do you encourage not just the immediate caregivers,
Okay.
even the community, to just be on the lookout and watch for this type of stuff?
Yeah, I have a few things, from just like the basics to like on how you can go to the extreme. For one, when you are talking to a child, meet them at eye level. That's instant way of how you gain someone's trust. Someone like, hey, I see you, you see me. Because a lot of times what will happen is adult will be over a child. So
Yeah.
that leads to disconnect. Well, we're trying to create a safe place, and it's probably, like you said, we're focusing on non-caregivers. So creating that eye contact level to level, those are just soft, natural things that you can do all the time. Also, when having a conversation, be engaged with them, figure out what they like. Of course, we hear a lot on social media, my teen is this, my kid is that. But when you are in the rooms with children, when you are in the rooms with your own kids and their friends and family members, figure out how to build that rapport, and realize that it doesn't just happen in one time. You got to have these constant communications over and over again. And then a third way that I would say that is pretty straightforward is being honest. Yes, whenever a child answers a question, be honest, because the worst thing you can do is tell a child one thing, and then when they become older, they have to unlearn that lie.
Yeah.
That yeah, so be honest. Definitely depend on what age group they are. You can tailor your responses to whatever question they is based on their age, but don't lie. Don't make up nonsense stuff that they have to unlearn, or when they find out the true answer because they decided to go on Google, ask other friends, then they're going to be hurt that you were somebody they trusted and you didn't even tell them the truth.
And that just takes them way off somewhere else. Now they don't trust you, and then it makes them subject to abuse from people that might not have the best interest in mind. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Spot on. So it's those fundamental skills at the beginning, from the eye contact and building the rapport and building that trust, that creates a safe place. Because what I teach youth is that, hey, that first person you tell probably will not believe you.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's probably your loved one. It's probably someone you see every day, but you got to go tell someone else and tell someone else until the abuse stops.
Yeah. So we're here with Casey Williams, second time on the show. She's family now, but we're talking about sex abuse, physical abuse, mainly for children, but it's for anyone that could be a victim. The title is Silence Protects Abusers. So we're focusing on ways that we need to make sure that we're being vocal, being that safe space. So here's the thing also with what you was just saying. That's not for everybody to do. Like, I can have the best intentions, the best heart, but just because my heart is appearing in the right space, it's not for me to go and inject myself in every situation. And I said it because there are certain positions, if you will, that have more access to kids and children, teachers, coaches, religious leaders, parents. I mean, not parents, extended family members. Let's talk about how important it is for for those that are in, they in close proximity to the kids, to make sure they're on the lookout and not overlooking their responsibility in that space. Yeah. So coaches and teachers, let's talk about, like, how would you tell them to fulfill their role in making sure that our youth are protected?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking that you were asking the audience to chime in. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay. So I love just talking about the basic things. So for sure, teachers and staff learn during their, train things like that. You should never be in a room alone with one child. The ratio should always be 2 to 1. And so teachers being mindful of that. If it was a case where it happens, a teacher needs to be like, hey, wait a minute. Hey, go grab so-and-so, go grab this friend. And so we can make sure we are following the standard of, hey, I'm not going to allow that rule to be overlooked, because what usually happens is when there is a coach or when there is a leader and a child by themselves, those how the risk factor gets higher. Yeah. So things like that. And then also just planting seeds in child's head. Hey, I am a trusted adult. You can actually talk to me. I may not know all the answers, but come talk to me. Because they hear so much negativity in the world, but being able to hear somebody, for example, when I used to teach in elementary, I used to, welcome everybody, hello. And then I'll say one line, you are safe. Just saying things like that. So when they are unsafe, when things are chaotic, they can remember, hey, Miss Williams said I was Miss Williams said I was safe. Miss Williams said blah, blah, blah. So that lead them to tell me when they're unsafe so I can protect them.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate that feedback. And I think it's also just important to point out that we all can have a good heart, but it's also to be cautious. And I like that you said, if you're a educator or whatever, just be careful being one-on-one, right, in those situations. So it not only protects the youth, right, but it protects you as well, which is,
And I do want to add one more other thing, because what usually happens is that when the grooming process is happening, when abuse happening, somebody have already saw something that was off. It was either that one time a child and an adult was in a room by themselves. So that person who walked past was like, that's not right. And none of my business. And they walk off. Or there's a conversation in the classroom where a teacher overhears some type of activity going on. So any of that, that first time you hear that, there needs to be some reporting happening. There needs to be a lookout. There needs to be planted a seed in that child's head, because the predator is working.
Yeah.
And so we need to.
It's almost crazy that we gotta point that out. Like, I just remember as a kid, like, the community looked out for each other, but it's just important for us to recognize that we're in different times. And people hesitate for a number of reasons, understandably so. But when you think about what's at stake, that child's safety and just their well-being the rest of their life, right? It's important. If nothing else, if we don't inject, something personally, that we tell somebody who can be, who is more equipped to handle that.
That's it. Tell that counselor, call the hotline number. Let's start getting some information, because that small thing that you saw, it could easily trickle, and you can be someone's help right there.
Yeah. Hey, Casey, the comments are coming in. That's going
to be go.
We get one more topic, and we're going to get the comments. Hey, out there in comment land, we see you. Keep them coming, and we'll make sure we get to them, and let the subject matter expert, our resident child protector, Casey, make sure she responds to each one of them. But let's talk about grooming. You mentioned grooming, so I think that's the perfect segue, right? Sometimes people can seem like they care, but they're acting like they care for the wrong reasons. And that kind of leads me to the idea of grooming. So if you don't mind, maybe your own definition of what grooming is, and then we'll go into some examples of what grooming is.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, what grooming is, first of all, it comes in all forms. And of course, now that we have social media, grooming is happening in social media, it's happening in person and online. But what it is that when a person is gradually building trust with the child, because that's our focus, to gain access to the child, which leads it to easier for them to keep secrets or abuse. So the main few things to really pay attention to, and that's why I am so on parents about this, because it's a gradual process.
It is.
It's not just happening instantly. It is a gradual process, and they're getting more access to your child, if it's more virtually or in person. And then what happens is it leads to doors opening for inappropriate behavior and keeping secrets. And so one, what's the saying? PSA, family and friends, that I want you all to realize about grooming. Think about DoorDash. Okay, so everybody uses DoorDash.
Hey, before we go into the examples,
okay,
let me give you your flowers. Like, you nailed the definition. Like,
okay,
like you can't. Not that I'm surprised, but I just want to really show you how close. I mean, how spot on you were with the definition.
Okay,
you said gradual. It says grooming is the gradual manipulation of a person to make them more vulnerable to exploitation, often by creating trust, dependence, secrecy, and blurred boundaries.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Yep.
Surprised, but hey, I just want to give you your flowers. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so let's go in some of the examples. You was about to talk about DoorDash.
Yeah.
And when you told me that the other day, I was like, wow. Like,
yeah.
As times change, like the predators, the people who are the offenders, they're learning with the times and figuring out a way to get a hold of you. So for something so simple, like in common as DoorDash, food delivery, like what's that about?
Yeah, absolutely. So for one thing about grooming, it's the gradual building trust. It's also meeting children's needs. Because unfortunately, a child may not have someone to talk to after school every day because mom and dad is at work. But however, they pick up that phone and that predator, how's your day going? How'd you feel today? Having in that conversation. And so what's happening with, I brought up the example of DoorDash, because that is a way that they are grooming children. Hey, I'll give you something that you want. All kids love free food. So if someone asks you, hey, you're hungry, and the kid's saying yes, knock, 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 here goes DoorDash. So some kids are not going to pay attention to that. For one, they are sharing their personal information, their address.
Yeah.
That's one problem. So a kid is casually just thinking, oh, this person I've been talking to, they live probably all the way in Florida, quote unquote. They're not coming to my house. They're not thinking twice of it. But for one, they're gaining that personal information about you. And then for two, they're meeting your needs of feeding you. And then for three, they're seeming like a cool person. Hey, I asked them for something, they give it to me.
So let's talk about the entry point of that, right? This could be like online gaming or any other social media site. So these are adults or predators, whoever they are, that are frequenting these sites, right? So what are some of those sites or means or modes that they can gain access to a child to even begin to offer like food?
Snapchat is for sure. And one reason why I don't even get on Snapchat, because I just feel like it's just too discreet and too secretive. And so that is one popular one. And of course, the most common one is the Roblox. All the kids are playing it, easy access. And so they're having that constant conversation, and kids have behaviors. They're usually on their, tablet, computer, or whatever, right after school. So that predator is right there. Hey, let's play, already giving them signs, probably even texting them before they get even out of school. And so then when a kid come home, they already got 3 messages. Now you're filling their cup up. Ooh, my friend is wanting to play with me. There goes a door to easy access.
Wow. So now they're offering them food. What kid don't want Wingstop or
right?
Right, any of this stuff right here. So wow. Someone in the comments said TikTok is another one. That's TikTok.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. So we're gonna continue the discussion on grooming and some ways that you should look out for. But before these comments get too far away, let's go ahead and jump to a few of them. And again, out there in comment land, get the comments, the questions, and we'll make sure we get to them. So this is from Ariel. Can you read that?
Yeah, that's my girl. Hey.
Yeah, go ahead and read the comment or the question, and then we'll let you address it.
Okay. Hey, Ariel. She is Young and Vibrant's #1 supporter. So thank you for joining today. She asks, what are some example of things that parents lie about that kids have to unlearn? How can non-parents look out for predators? Fantastic question. What the first thing that comes to my head is that parents lie about how babies come to life.
I know you was about to say
that. They lie about
that seems harmless. Why is that an issue?
That is an issue because it diminishes the purpose of life. Honestly, like we are put on earth to reproduce. So, of course, when a 5-year-old asks, hey, mom and dad, how did I get here? You don't have to go into detail about intercourse, but you can be very clear or even have it based on the science of it. Just so, because one day they are going to get older and they're going to learn. And then my mom told me that babies fall from heaven. So now I'm waiting for a baby just to fall from heaven. No. So
I think that's important, too, because it's not just how babies get here, is what does that mean for us violating if someone makes that move on their child? And the reason why I bring that up is because like that can be a tough discussion to have. So it goes back to what you're saying, like be prepared for these kind of conversation if you're a parent, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because for sure, they're asking you this question with an answer that maybe a friend or something told them, or they got access to their phone. They can easily ask too. And you will hate for them to get all that information from somebody else versus loved one. Yeah. Good. And then for part 2, how can non-parents look out for predators? That's a really good question. I like that a lot. The best way I can say, how can non-predators look out for predators? Just listen to conversation, okay? Because true colors really come out. So being in any red flag that you hear that may not sound right or something, question it, dive into it. Also having conversation with kids, if you are, for example, Ariel, I know you host a art club. So just having conversations with kids and seeing how they are responding, because one thing too that people don't realize, a child will talk about their predator.
Wow.
They will actually talk about them. You do have to dive deep a little bit because it may be, only the positive stuff. But if someone is always, if you hear a child always talking about this one person over and over again, those are some signs to look out for.
Yeah, that's good. I think another one too is just be armed with information, and we're going to share some resources at the end of the show. But knowing a tip line, sometimes you can report it and it can be anonymous, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're an educator, just tell the principal or have other teachers be on the lookout. So there's a number of things you can do that as a non-parent to be on the lookout for predators, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, oh man, this is people from my hometown.
Hey.
Dr. Riley, he's highlighting some of the stuff he does, substance abuse, misuse.
Oh, nice.
Like that. So yeah, we've done some work before. Very, very community-oriented pastor down in Texas County. Appreciate everything you're doing in the community. Ariel says, kids, definitely remember when you say things like, "You are safe here," and you're right. Those things are so comforting that when trials happen or problems happen, they will think back to that.
Remember that.
But, teacher Miss Casey said that I'm safe here, so let me get to her and let her know what I got going on.
Absolutely, that holds a lot of value.
Bishop Riley says, "See something, say something." That's kind of back to what Ariel said earlier. Like, what can you do? Say something.
Say something. Absolutely, and just report it. Like it will make my day. For even if you just heard something, and then next thing you know, Child Protective Service or the police officers at the door of somebody's predator and say, "Hey, this is what we have to get them on alert." Like, "Hey, we're looking at you. We know what's going on."
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I know sometimes people may be cautious about
For
reporting something
sure.
because that can cause some problems, especially if it's not real. And I know the system is not perfect,
For
but
sure.
should we trust that the system is going to do the right thing and do their due diligence before they come in, guns blazing and kicking doors down?
So yeah, that's the sad part about it.
Yeah,
However, but the first thing is do your due diligence.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because the worst thing what breaks my heart when people are like, I should have said something. I knew something. I
yes,
couldn't sleep last night thinking about this. It's like, I'd rather you just say something.
yeah. Good point. Good point. Um, I'll let you take this one right here, read it, and then respond.
Okay, let's see. More predators slash groomers are family members close to the individual these days. Absolutely. It's not these days, it's been that way. At least 95% of predators are people that the children know and love,
Yeah.
hands down. And that's something that I learned as I was working for Child Protective Services. A lot of parents were not telling anybody. Why? Because this what happened to them when they were 3 and they were 6, and now they're adult and they're quote unquote, I'm okay, I survived it. So it stays quiet. And
Yeah.
then it's usually that family member that looks out for everybody, got everything going well. So nobody will believe them. And then that family member tells the kid, nobody will believe you. And then it never gets reported. So, and that's why it's important to start teaching your children about what does grooming look like, because family members are grooming, and that is male and female.
Blink
Good point.
twice, Casey.
Keep
Okay,
blinking.
but you're
I'm
back.
here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. I've got another
Okay.
one. I'll read this one and then I'll let you respond to it.
Okay.
It says, if a parent finds out their child has committed or attempted an inappropriate act towards another child of the parent, what is a way for the parent to be supportive, helpful for both children, or should the parent turn their back on the child that did the wrong? So I'll let you respond to that part first, and then there's a second part. How do you respond when you see a situation such where one child harmed another child?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You definitely can't keep it quiet. Definitely not, because all that does is leave gateways for the child who was the abuser to like, hey, I got away with the first time and nobody said nothing. I'm gonna do it again. And then on the flip side, children have to learn. And honestly, with so much exposure to sexual content, it starts to get embedded in them. And then it starts to become their second nature. So definitely lay it out on the table. I would suggest have like a mediator or a third party that's not related to either families to have that conversation. But I highly encourage you, don't keep it quiet. Definitely check yourself before you approach it, because most parents will be father bear and mother bear and your child did this and rah rah rah, but we actually can redirect it and also teach them and let them know, and share the consequences with all the parties for sure, but do
Yeah.
not keep it quiet.
No, absolutely not. And the second part says also, how can the parent live with knowing such a thing has happened if that hurt or pain is making that person feel less of a person and wanting to leave this earth? So I get it. So the child is hurting, they want to leave this earth. Like, how do you educate the parent that's dealing with maybe some guilt or hurt from that?
Absolutely. To piggyback on your first question on like why you got involved, that was another reason why I got involved, to see how much shame and guilt families and victims carry when sexual abuse is involved. It really breaks my heart. So for one, if you are a believer, understand that Jesus died on the cross to remove all shame, all guilt. You are shameless. You are guiltless. You do not have to carry that on your shoulder, just with the belief of that. So that's one thing that I say. Also, too, therapy. You have to get in the room with a therapist to really unpack those emotions, unpack when you are triggered, unpack your mommy guilt, your daddy guilt, like all that. Get in the room with a therapist. And then also you have to continue to build yourself And that's what, in the mirror every day. It was never my fault. I am not the problem. I did not ask for this. I am beautiful, because you have to like retrain your brain and your whole nervous system, things like that. So definitely, for one, understand that it was never your fault, and the shame can be removed, and there is room for healing for sure. Good question.
I was mute. That's good advice. And I love that you talk about outside intervention, right, from others, counselors, pastors, spiritual walk, because some things, it transcends our own understanding, right, or our own ability to carry the pain. And that's what community is. And you talk a lot about that, and we'll get to that a little bit more later. But definitely seek outside counsel. There are people who have dedicated their lives, right, to deal with these type of unfortunate events. So you're right, deal with the shame. It can be tough, but getting help is imperative.
Absolutely.
So Forever God's Nurse, she talked about other ways that they can reach out to you. TikTok. We were talking about what lies or
Santa Claus. Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to add one more too that I thought about. One of the lies is not correctly naming the body parts. Families will give nicknames to your breasts and your penis and your vagina. Absolutely not. Call it exactly what it is, because when someone hurts those private parts, a child needs to have the confidence to say, so and so touched my vagina. So and so didn't stop when I said don't touch my penis. Those words need to be clearly communicated, because on the end result, for example, when I was in Child Protective Services and having to go to court, and the kids are calling their private parts nicknames, and then that just discredited everybody else who's already don't want to believe in the child. But if a child makes it very clear and constantly told somebody that their vagina or their breast or their butt was touched by so-and-so, it's clear, it makes sense, and please, God, make sure this predator gets what they deserve.
Yeah, that's good. And I guess an extension of that, because I can see people saying like, hey, that's uncomfortable. I think also you teach them that, but you teach them responsible usage of those terms as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then just to even counter that a little bit, it's uncomfortable. It's also uncomfortable when a child doesn't tell someone that they're being abused, because they don't have the verbiage. Now they are, let's say, 10 years old, and mom's been calling their son's penis a wee-wee. So then as they're 10 and 13, don't want to say, mommy, daddy, so-and-so touched my wee-wee. No, but they will have the confidence to say, mom and dad, someone was inappropriate touching my penis. Like, we have to get uncomfortable to keep our child safe, because the predators, they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care about your comfort.
Yeah. I like this one from Cam Ori. She says, do a background check on everybody you date, an in-depth one too. And it's crazy because we got information at our fingertips. Some people think that's weird, but talk about that.
Yeah, that's spot on. Thanks, Cam, for sharing that. Do a background check on everybody, because also what happens, or a lot of stories that I have interacted with youth and things like that, it's my mom's boyfriend, my dad's girlfriend. So they're in those intimate spaces. They're building up that grooming. And before you disallow anybody to have that intimate setting with your kids, a background check is important, because sometimes sexual abuse, the predators are not doing their part of actually being registered. There's little links and byways that they are not being able to show that on their criminal history. So I agree, do that in full-fledged all the time. You're muted.
Yeah, how's that?
Okay, better.
Okay, yeah, my bad. So I got another one, and then we'll continue the discussion. I'll let you read this one right here and respond to it as well.
Okay, let's see. What do you suggest parents do if their child is found to be a unexposed predator? Oh, good question. Let me process that. What do you suggest parents do if their child is found to be an unexposed predator? To make sure
Yeah,
Say it
I
again.
guess they're saying that the child is a predator, but they haven't been exposed.
Right, with nobody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
The child is the offender.
Right, yeah. So for one, good question, because children can also be offenders and predators as well. So let's be clear on that, because also when kids outcry to that, a lot of people will brush it off, but no, it is true. And then for two, definitely, you have to confront them, and you have to confront them with facts. Because one thing that's from my experience too, when I worked for Child Protective Services, I just didn't talk to the victims. I also went to the jails and talked to the predators, so I can get a better idea of what the heck was in your mind when you thought this was happening. So things like that. So when that predator thinks, oh, I'm getting away with it, nobody knows, that just gives them fire to do more. But if you can be the one to, stop it, or, get in the middle, like, hey, these are the facts. Always come with facts.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good info, good info. So let's go to a commercial break. We're gonna come back. We got more comments, but we're gonna continue the discussion, and then we'll get to the comments too.
Okay, sounds good to me. Good. Let me see.
Hello, swimmers. So I have a bit of an update. As you guys may know, next week on the 12th is the 10th anniversary of the day that my son passed. We are going to be on a podcast called The Floor is Yours, and it will be an Ask Me Anything style podcast. It'll be all about grief. I am going to be very vulnerable, transparent, and honest about my grief journey, in the hopes that someone that hears it or asks me anything might have hope for tomorrow. So in honor of my son's legacy, and I don't want to keep saying my son, in honor of Theo's legacy, significant that would help somebody else experiencing anything similar to what we experienced. So because I'm very proud of the fact that my daughter and I have made it to this milestone. We did not see this happening in the early days of our grief journey. It was hard. So I want to acknowledge the hard things that we've done, and hope somebody else who might have to do a hard thing realize that there's a path forward. And I hope you'll join me in honoring Theo's legacy.
All right, welcome back to the Floor is Yours podcast. That was a promo for a show we got coming up this Thursday from a beautiful lady that I met a few weeks ago. She lost her son tragically to a drowning here in the Dallas area, Lake Louisville. He was a senior in high school, and she has, gone to therapy, counseling, her and her daughter. It's one of those things where you never expect as a parent to bury your child. You expect it to be the other way around, but she's been dealing with grief. She has been able to manage it better, and she just wants to be a resource to the community to help people deal with grief. But she also did an amazing thing. She's invented a device that helps people float, in case they're ever in one of those situations, to help displace the water so they can float until help gets there. So in the name of her son, the legacy of her son, Theo, she's did great work in that space, but she also, again, wants to lend herself and her voice to help people deal with grief. So this Thursday at 7 o'clock, at 7:30, I'm sorry, this Thursday at 7:30 p.m., right here on the Floor is Yours podcast. Join us for that spirited conversation. All right, so we are back. It was been a good show so far. We've gotten a lot of participation, but let's go into another one. We talked about what grooming looks like right? The definition and what grooming looks like. But you mentioned earlier about creating a safe space before the
Yeah.
abuse happens. Sometimes in this society, we're such a reactive society, right? Things happen and then we want to put our all into it. How important is it from your perspective to create the safe space? Part of it is what you said, make sure that we're naming the thing what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about creating that safe space for that youth and that child so that they can already be better equipped to deal with the abuse should it happen.
Absolutely. Yes. So one thing I love to bring to parents' attention, we have to create the safe place now as they are growing up because the trauma is going to happen. And it could be something on a smaller scale as there was a bad breakup, or it could be something as serious as abuse. So I always talk about having courageous conversations. And one way to create a safe place is starting with having conversations in the car. Why? Because there's no eye contact. There is a driver in the front, the parent, let's say, or the caregiver, the family, kids, or in the passenger. And these are the times you can ask some of those questions to just let the person know, the kid know, like, hey, these things are happening and I want you to hear from me before anybody else. And also just it creates a safe place for them to ask questions, set the tone, no judgment.
Mhm.
uh you are not in trouble, just pouring that into them so you can get what you want out of them. So I would say if you ever want to have a courageous conversation, or just bring up a topic, especially like with so many things that are happening with our young Black boys, child abuse, things like that. Bring that to your child's attention. Hey, have you heard this? Hey, have you seen this on TikTok? And doing that like on a regular. Let's say like, hey, on Thursdays we have family dinner and we talk about real life.
Yeah.
And so you're doing that month after month after month. Now your child is in a relationship and one child is more advanced than the other. And now they're creating a safe place to say, hey, mom, hey, dad, my boyfriend, girlfriend tried to kiss me and I wasn't for that. Versus a child is having this interacting and don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I would say create that safe place so you can teach them things that no one else is going to teach them, such as consent. At school, no one's teaching them about consent. You're probably not having conversations about it, but now you are intentional. You are planting that seed so that it can flourish the best way that it can. So definitely create those safe places now. And that could be simply with 15-minute conversations in the car.
That's good. That's good. Get them comfortable with talking about, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about how silence protects the abuser, and we're encouraging people to just create safe spaces, speak up when they can, and also encourage the kids to be open and feel like they can trust you to talk about these hard conversations.
Yes.
Hey, so yeah, we got comments coming. Y'all keep them coming. We're gonna make sure we get to them. But I want to share something, and I'm gonna let you read it, and then after this, we're gonna come back in and continue the discussion.
Okay.
Can you read that?
Yep. Okay, I can see it.
Okay.
Imagine how demoralizing it must be for sexual abuse victims to look at the highest elected office in the land and see it occupied by a known associate of notorious sex offenders. That elected official's name was mentioned thousands of times in the files and was accused of assaulting a child as young as 13 years old. Then watch the top law enforcement officers in the country, the attorney general, cover for the president. Then watch the Senate confirm that attorney general and the voters elected those senators, voters that victims see every day who still support the president. Not only do victims see this unfolding, but so do predators. If there are little to no consequences for a predator's actions, what will stop them from harming people? And why would a victim ever dare to report an assault? Lord help. Mm.
Yeah. One moment while I get this off the screen.
Okay.
The thing about this, pardon me, Lord, where is it? There we go. Sorry about
Okay.
that. So yeah, the idea of that is, and if you saw the graphic, if you paid attention to the graphic, it had a little hand, and it
Yeah.
showed a little black girl, writing in her journal, and she is talking her thoughts out,
Yeah.
wondering why. And this is real. This is not a make believe situation or scenario, if you will. That if you look at the highest office in this land, and there's someone sitting there that's been accused of some heinous crimes, right?
Over
Not
and
only was
over
he accused,
again.
he boasted and bragged about doing those things. Then you bring in somebody who's what they call the top law enforcement official in this country, the AG. He was covering for it. But here it is now, the Senate confirmed him. What does it say to a victim to see this, right? To see these people appointed to these top positions, no accountability, but also they are supported and almost worshipped in some sense. What
Yeah.
would that say to a victim to see that? Would that make them less likely to reach out and report abuse?
Unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, yes. It
Wow.
it is, because the predator is already pouring this into their head. Your body is worthless. You belong to me. Nobody cares about you. You're ugly. I'm only one that's going to support you. Nobody is going to believe you. That is constantly. And so then when that predator is not in that child's ear, then they go on social media and YouTube and hear in the news. It just compacts over and over again. However, this is what makes me be audacious. This is what makes me be bold. This is what makes me want to get into those conversations in those rooms with families and say, hey, honestly, I don't care about you being uncomfortable, because the president does it, the police does it, none of that matters. So we do have to get uncomfortable and have these conversations and pour into our children constantly, because unfortunately they're looking outwards to get answers that are breaking them apart.
Literally breaking them apart. And I get we can be so caught up in our day-to-day living
For
that
sure.
we don't see these things, but it's happening. And I'm just thinking about if the victim is been getting abused, but here it is now, the people that are supposed to protect or even doing the abuse and getting away with it. I could see how that shuts them down. It makes them not want to talk.
Yeah, it leads to that, and then it also leads to their family and friends not believing them either.
Mm,
And so it
mm.
just creates a whole compacted circle, and then that leads to the shame and the guilt, because it's like, hey, if there's 1,000 people who are the opposite of what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling, then just one of me, oh, I'm the bad one, or I'm the shameful one, and that just creates over a horrible cycle.
Horrible
Cycle.
Yeah, so we're talking about the need to speak up and protect our youth. Anybody, not just youth, but especially our youth who's voiceless. So
For
we got a
sure.
couple of comments, so we're gonna get to them, and then we're gonna go to the next topic. She said Uncle Joe. I'm not sure.
Think about that.
Yeah. We talked about that one already. Here we are from Mia. Mia says so many carrying the guilt and shame for years because they didn't think people would believe them, so they kept it to themselves. And that's tough, right? To the people who's charged with protecting you, there's something about that relationship where you don't feel that you can share with them. And we know it happens, right? They try to get into the mind of a victim and try to understand it, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. We just know that
For
is
sure.
a fact, right? That they don't report it. Hey, Casey, just recently down in my hometown, Texarkana,
Okay.
where in East Texas, it was a guy who just got 800 years. It was
Yeah.
you saw that 20
Yeah.
council 20 years of this guy, and part of it was his own children,
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 daughters that he sexual assaulted.
Mm-hmm. And family members.
Yeah, so it just brings to mind when I read that story that when they first reported it,
Mm-hmm.
that somebody in their family took the kids away. I think one of them got moved to Chicago. The other kid
Okay.
got moved to some Virgin Islands or somewhere. I don't know
Mhm.
specifically. But this whole protecting the
Predator. Yeah.
versus
Hate it.
protecting the victim. Like, what is that about?
I wish I could really answer that
Mm.
outside of just for one. I clarify one thing for sure. What it's about control. That's what sexual abuse is about. It is about control. And so that predator, the people who are, friends with the predator, all that things like that, they want the power and the control. So I recant that. I take it back. One thing it is about keeping that control and then controlling others for sure. And then also too, because the crime is so heinous and nobody wants to believe that it's happening. And so as a society, we make it norm to not believe it because it's so horrible. Yeah. But that's why I'm here in this space. I want you to believe and to know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. So we got to be the ones that bring it up, talk about it, and all those things.
You said 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys before. And another part that's so horrible about it, it rarely happens just once.
Oh, yeah.
Ongoing, right?
Oh, for sure.
When we was teaching, when in the Army, we was teaching sexual abuse prevention.
Okay.
And I don't remember the exact stat, but it was like by the time a person has got caught for one act, that they've already committed it, I think like 15 other times.
Yeah.
In some form or some capacity.
Yeah.
It was like pretty sobering to hear that number right there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why, like earlier, what we talked about, hey, that one time you in your gut and you felt something wasn't right, you got to speak up. You got to say something.
Yeah. And it emboldens them too when they get away with it twice and 3 times, right?
Over and over again. Absolutely. Yeah.
She said maybe the child also be in therapy. So that was to the question earlier about the child that may have been doing the abuse. Do you see that they also could need therapy?
Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up. Most definitely, because for one, child sexual abuse is not normal. And so there was some type of root connection that led this way in their life to see these type of things as normal. And so with the therapy can, travel all the way back and figure out what's the root, what's those unlearned messages or that experience that you had where you were quiet for that to flourish into you becoming an abuser. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And this is a follow-up to what you were saying earlier, Kevin Norton, hometown. He says, generally speaking, sexual abuse is about power and control, not only sex. It can happen to anyone and is always the abuser's responsibility, never the victim.
Absolutely.
Survivors can experience a wide range of effects like anxiety, shame, PTSD, trouble with trust or relationships, and none of that means they are broken. It's a normal reaction to something deeply wrong.
Absolutely.
I think there's more than your opinion. There's some facts there, Kevin. We appreciate you sharing that. You want to respond to that, especially about the PTSD and anxiety that it triggers?
Yeah. That too, and just from my experience, not saying it for all, and I'm definitely not an expert in those type of mental illnesses, but what I have learned from families that I have worked with is that those anxieties and those PTSD, there's usually the root of sexual abuse. There's a root of, hey, you experienced some type of childhood trauma that all it did was just kept on going with you as you travel, as you got older. And now as you're an adult where you have a voice, where you're now able to crash out in public, you're now able going to jail, then everybody's seeing your criminal record, all that is being exposed. But that root problem, from my experience, is usually related to that, unfortunately.
Yeah, good. So we've been talking about how silence protects the abuser, and sometimes through guilt and shame, we try to keep it quiet. And by that time, I've heard stories, Casey, of people that regretted being silent when they could have spoke up because that abuser went on to abuse others. Now, I hate that they're carrying that guilt because it's
For
not,
sure. It's
but
right.
it
It's
does
not.
the importance of speaking up. So, hey, let's talk about some things you got coming up in the community. You're real active in the community. Your organization is called Young and Vibrant. You do tutoring, but you're also, of course, in this space right here to deal with how to prevent sexual misconduct of kids. But you got an event coming up, right?
Yes. Yes. Let's talk about it. Let me give y'all a little bit of background before we get into the grand of it all. So I live in Princeton, Texas. And Princeton, Texas, I believe now is the third fastest growing city in the nation. However, so the people are coming. However, I also learned about how small we were before the people started coming. And so when I first brought Young and Vibrant to Princeton, where I live at, it was more of more pushback about it. And then I learned that like even for like the school system and things like that, it's more reactive than preventative versus from the schools I work at in Tarrant County and things like that. So, however, I got told no a few times. But now this time I was invited to speak to the board, the community development board here in Princeton, and to pitch this event. So imagine 3 years ago being told, no, it's not for us. No, we don't want to do it. Now, fast forward, everybody on the board was like, yes, I support it. I think it's a good idea. The conversation is needed. And so that's the backstory. So that's how important this is, because for some reason it was no, don't talk about it then, but now the need is high. So on August 22nd, Young and Vibrant will have its first child sexual abuse prevention conference. Okay, that is happening on August 22nd. Please mark your calendars. Yay, let's celebrate, because oh my goodness, it is truly a celebration for this moment. Okay, so on August 22nd, on a Saturday, in a little bit about 2 weeks, we will be having our first child sexual abuse prevention conference. And honestly, beautiful people, this is just the beginning, because we have to have the conversation. This doesn't just happen one time. It is ongoing. So I would love for you to bring your family, to bring your extended family, to bring your neighbors, any kid that you know, they are free to be in the building. Okay. We are overall learning about how to keep the mind, body, and soul safe. And most importantly, to just plant a seed. A child have never never been told that their body belongs to them and no one has a right to look at it or touch it without their permission. So just planting that seed, having the conversation about, hey, baby girl, baby boy, you can say no. You can also find a trusted adult to keep telling someone over and over again until the abuse stops. And then for parents, we already heard in the comments, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. It doesn't feel right. Well, now is the time to learn how to do it and why to do it. Parents, it's so important for you to be in the room with other parents and other experts and learn about how your child is developing, what they are exposed to, and what to do. So the conference is for that reason. So come and show up on August 22nd, 2026 from 10 to 2 in Princeton, Texas. I would love for you to be there to learn. And most importantly, we can start this conversation to make sure our children are safe.
And for those that don't know, aren't familiar where Princeton is.
Oh, okay.
Tell us, just east of McKinney, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's still in the Metroplex.
Yes, it is. Quote unquote, for the ones who are in Texas, is North Texas.
Yeah, right. Not North Dallas, North Texas.
Right, yeah. So ideally, if you're driving from the Dallas downtown area or Garland plan out about 45-minute commute. But it's worth it. It's worth it. I promise.
There's a lot of good eateries out in that area too, so you can make it a day.
A whole day. Yeah, absolutely.
So aside from this great stuff you're doing in the community, your website, it's Young and Vibrant. It's
Yes.
www.youngandvibrantinc.org. And on
Yes.
there, which brings us to the next topic, you have resources. So people that need to report sexual abuse, got questions, need resources, they can go to your website and get that information, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. And please do so, because we would like for you to add your emails list as well, because you never know when you need the resource for you personally, or to share to a neighbor or somebody you go to church with. And I'm a big believer that doing life together is what keeps us safe. So I want to be able to create resources for you all to use as well, because I definitely don't know it all. And I got some good people who is in support and want to do their expert jobs, such as therapy and things like that, to help children who are abused. So please utilize for sure.
And there's also this toll-free national hotline. You want to talk about that?
Yes. Hey, any concern you have, I don't care how small, how big, any concern you have, you pick up the phone and you call the number. Okay. Of course, the more information is better, but I'd rather, if you feel it in your gut, if it's been causing you to have sleepless night, you pick up the phone, you report it, and allow the expert to go and investigate. And if there is abuse, that predator can get the consequences they deserve.
And that they deserve, absolutely. So this was fun.
Hey, yes, it was.
Also, one other thing, you said you have a resource digital book on your website too, right?
Yes. So that is coming soon. So that's why I said add your make sure we get your email address so that you can also have it that way. And then of course I will be always sending out, newsletters and information like that, so that for one, we talk about a safe place. Well, parents are learning how to create that. Well, I got you. Knowing how to have tough conversations. I got you. Your child may say something crazy to you that you want to react. Pause for a second. I got the resource for you to process it through. So you are not alone. I don't want you to be alone. Yeah. And I know the response usually is, I'm going to beat them up. I'm going to fight them. But unfortunately, that is going to cause the child to shut down.
Yeah. Cool. So this has been fun, but before we close out, we're going to let you give us some parting thoughts, some words of encouragement, things that you want us to take away from this podcast.
Absolutely. First and foremost, for the survivors who are listening, for the survivors who have family and friends who know of their abuse, please understand and believe that it was never your fault. There is room for healing. That shame, that guilt can be all removed, and you can turn your trials and tribulations into a testimony. Do not be afraid to share your story, because when you share your story, you help someone else and you educate someone else. So I definitely want the survivors of any type of abuse to really understand that and prayerfully meditate on it. And if nobody ever told you that, count on me. I would definitely tell you that until it stick. And then secondly, for everybody else, hey, August 22nd is where you need to be. We see it in our news feeds. We see it on the highest level of our government that abuse is happening. Well, I'm here to tell you that predators are stupid. Okay, understand that. And come and get the knowledge on how to prove to them that they are not going to take advantage of your child.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier, that all you got to do is just watch a little news or pay attention to social media, or even just have some conversations with some people and realize that there's an uptick, right? And the experts partly attributed to a lack of accountability, right? When predators feel like there's no accountability, they do it more. Partnering, for lack of better words, partnering with that is the fact that when there's a lack of accountability, that the victims report it less.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do our part to change that. If you see something, as Bishop Riley said earlier, see something, say something. Yeah, say something. Yeah. So this was fun.
Yay! I had a good time too.
Now you got to close us out.
Okay, awesome. Well, Thank you. The floor is yours, audience, for coming in and showing up and just having the conversation with us. We are greatly appreciated. So please enjoy. Actually, keep this conversation going. So share this with your family. Share this with anybody you know that works in the field of protecting children, teaching children. Let's keep the word going around. And so as we spread it more, the predator starts feeling real small and ugly and don't want to do it anymore. So I encourage you all to spread the word. Thank you for your time today.
Hey, if you don't mind, sometime tonight or tomorrow, go and post the event information, the flyer, the link.
Okay.
In the comments, and if you feel led to respond to some of the comments, do that.
I definitely will.
Hey, we'll see y'all next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
This one here really do it for you. Baby,